Chosen ones, 7 signs you are God's favorite. You didn't find this message by chance. This isn't just another video. This is a divine interruption. A holy moment, carved out of eternity because heaven has a word for you. You've walked through too much, cried too long, and carried questions in your heart that no one else seems to understand. But God does. And right now, He's reaching for you through these very words. You've always felt a stirring deep inside, a restlessness that couldn't be silenced. You've tried to live a normal life, but something always calls you higher. It's not your imagination, it's your identity trying to wake you up, because you're not like everyone else. You were never supposed to be. There's a mark on your life, a light in your soul, and a weight in your spirit that sets you apart. This world has tried to bury you, but it couldn't kill the call of God inside of you. That's because you are one of the few hand-picked, set apart, favored. You are one of God's chosen. And today I'm going to show you the 7 undeniable signs that prove what your spirit has known all along. This is your confirmation. This is your awakening. This is your moment to rise. Sign 1. You've been through a radical spiritual awakening. One of the clearest signs that you are God's chosen one is the spiritual awakening that shook your life to its core. It didn't come softly. It came like a storm. It interrupted everything. What used to feel right suddenly felt wrong. What once brought comfort now felt hollow. And deep inside you knew something was changing. This awakening is not just emotional or mental, it's spiritual. It pulls you out of the crowd and into the presence of God. It causes you to question what you once accepted, to hunger for truth, and to search for something greater than what the world offers. You may not have had words for it at the time, but your soul knew. This was the beginning of something sacred. God often allows disruption to bring revelation. Many chosen ones experience a breaking, a loss, betrayal, or season of isolation before they awaken. It feels like everything is falling apart. But in truth, God is realigning you with your purpose. The pain isn't punishment, it's preparation. And once your eyes are opened, you can't go back. You no longer fit into the places you used to. Your spirit rejects anything false. You start to feel things more deeply, sense things more clearly, and move through life with a quiet knowing that you are being led. You might feel misunderstood, even alone. But you're not crazy. You're called. This awakening is the beginning of your transformation. It's heaven tapping you on the shoulder and saying, you were made for more. The world may not see it yet, but your spirit knows. You've been marked. You've been set apart. You're not who you used to be. You're awakening. You're rising. You're chosen. Sign 2. You've faced constant rejection without cause. Rejection is one of the most painful and confusing experiences, especially when you've done nothing wrong. But for those who are chosen by God, rejection is not just an unfortunate part of life, it's a sign of divine selection. From an early age, you may have felt like you didn't belong. No matter how hard you tried to fit in, something always felt off. You were always different, and people could feel it, even if they couldn't explain why. Friends walked away, family misunderstood you, people looked at you and sensed something in you that made them uncomfortable. And often, you were left wondering, what did I do wrong? But the truth is, you didn't do anything wrong. You were carrying something in your spirit that others couldn't understand. And what they couldn't understand, they rejected. God allows rejection, not to harm you, but to protect you. He removes people who cannot carry the weight of your calling. He shuts doors that would have led you off course. He lets certain connections fall apart so that He can surround you with people who see your value, not your difference. Rejection isn't failure, it's redirection. The chosen ones of God have always been rejected by the world. Joseph was rejected by his brothers. David was overlooked by his family. Jesus himself was despised and rejected by men. Why? Because the light inside them made darkness uncomfortable. And that same light lives in you. The favor on your life creates a separation. You don't move like others. You don't think like others. You carry a different spirit, a heavenly one. And people sense it. Some will be drawn to it. Others will be offended by it. But either way, they won't be able to ignore it. Even in spaces where you should have been celebrated, you were pushed aside. You've been talked about, judged, misunderstood. But all of it has been part of your refinement. God uses rejection to build resilience. He uses isolation to deepen intimacy. He uses silence to draw you closer to his voice. But you see, if everyone had accepted you, you might have depended on their approval. But because they didn't, you learned to hear God for yourself. You learned to walk alone. You learned to find your worth not in the world's opinion, but in the truth of who God says you are. And now, that rejection has become your power. It's the very thing that trained you for your calling. It taught you to pray. It taught you to fight. It taught you to stand when no one stood with you. And because of that, you are stronger than you've ever been. You don't need to chase acceptance anymore. You don't need to prove yourself. Those who rejected you couldn't see what God was doing in you. But that doesn't mean he stopped. In fact, he's just getting started. The same people who doubted you will one day witness what God produces through you. So don't curse the rejection. Thank God for it. It was your teacher. It was your protector. It was proof that you don't belong to this world. You belong to him. You were never meant to fit in because you were called to stand out. Rejection is not a sign that you are unworthy. It is confirmation that you are chosen, and the ones God chooses, he also separates, refines, and elevates. Sign Sen 3. You've always felt you were meant for something greater. There's a quiet knowing inside of you, something you've carried for as long as you can remember, even when life was ordinary on the outside. Your spirit refused to settle. You've always felt that there was more to your life, more to your existence, more to your purpose. And no matter how many times you tried to silence it, that inner voice kept speaking. That's not imagination. That's not pride. That's calling. That's destiny whispering through your spirit, reminding you of what God placed in you before the world ever saw you. The chosen ones of God don't walk through life without a sense of holy unrest. There's a deep tension between who you are and who you are becoming. And while others are content chasing money, status, or comfort, you find yourself longing for truth, for meaning, for impact. You may have tried to follow the crowd, to do what everyone else was doing, but something inside of you always pulled you away from the path that didn't lead to purpose. You don't want success just to be seen. You want your life to matter. You want to make a difference. And that desire wasn't manufactured by culture, it was planted by God. You were created for a mission, and your soul knows it. You might not have all the details and the path may not be clear, but the fire is there. You feel it when you wake up. You feel it in the middle of your quiet moments. You feel it even when life is heavy. Because purpose won't leave you alone. Purpose doesn't go away. It waits. It pulls. It calls. This is one of the clearest signs that you are chosen. The ordinary life doesn't satisfy you. You've tried to settle, but settling made you restless. That's because you weren't born to fit in. You were born to change things. And people might not understand it. They might say you're too intense, too ambitious, too deep. But what they don't see is the weight on your life. They don't see the vision God placed inside of you. They don't hear the whisper of heaven guiding your every step. Sometimes, that burden feels heavy. You wonder why you feel so responsible for something you can't fully explain. Why you cry for people you've never met. Why your heart breaks over injustice. Why you can't turn a blind eye to what others ignore. It's because you've been entrusted with something sacred, and God is preparing you to carry it. Every delay, every detour, every closed door has been part of your preparation. You weren't denied. You were developed. Because God doesn't send out his chosen ones untrained. He takes his time. He builds you in the secret place. He matures you through pressure. He teaches you patience, endurance, obedience. so that when the moment comes and your purpose unfolds, you'll be ready to walk in it with power and humility. The chosen ones don't just live for themselves, they live for something higher. They live with an awareness that their time, their gifts, their story is not their own. You've been chosen to carry light into dark places, to speak truth in a world full of noise, to live set apart even when it's uncomfortable. And that's why you've never been able to shake this feeling. That's why you can't give up, even when you feel like it. Because your assignment won't let you. God doesn't place that kind of fire in just anyone. He places it in those he trusts. And if you've felt this pull, this drive, this weight of greater purpose, then take it as confirmation. You are not lost. You are not crazy. You are not overthinking. You are responding to the call of God on your life. You were made for more. You've known it all along. And the reason it won't let you go is because God refuses to let you live beneath what he created you for. You are chosen, and your purpose is proof. Sign 4. You possess strong spiritual discernment. There's something in you that sees beyond what others see. You don't just look at situations, you sense them. You don't just hear what people say, you feel what they mean. You've walked into rooms and felt the atmosphere shift. You've met people and instantly knew whether their spirit was pure or not. That's not paranoia, that's not overthinking, that's discernment. And it's not something you learned, it's something God placed inside of you. This level of sensitivity is not common, it's spiritual. And it's one of the most powerful signs that you've been chosen by God. Discernment is the ability to detect truth without needing proof. It's the quiet alarm in your spirit that warns you before your mind understands. It's how God protects his chosen. It's how he leads them. And it's why you often feel things others overlook. While people are deceived by appearances, you can see beneath the surface. You've sensed when someone wasn't genuine. Even though everyone else was fooled, you felt the tension in a place where everything seemed peaceful on the outside. You've walked away from opportunities that looked perfect. Not because of fear, but because something in your spirit said no, and later you found out why. That's not luck. That's not coincidence. That's God speaking through your discernment. But this gift also comes with weight. Sometimes it feels like you carry more than you want to. You pick up on people's pain. You feel heaviness. Others don't notice. You sense danger in moments where no one else flinches. And because of that, you may have been called too sensitive, too cautious, too intense. But what they don't realize is that you're carrying spiritual radar. You're operating with eyes that see in the spirit, not just the flesh. Discernment keeps you from being misled. It protects your peace. It guards your calling. And it gives you the ability to walk through this world without falling into every trap set by the enemy. Because the truth is, darkness doesn't always come with horns and a pitchfork. Sometimes it comes dressed as opportunity. Sometimes it sounds like compliments. Sometimes it looks like connection. But your spirit knows the difference. Your discernment doesn't bow to the surface. It responds to the source. This is why the enemy fears you. Because you're not easily fooled. You don't follow the crowd. You don't get caught up in the hype. You test the spirit. You examine the fruit. And because of that, you avoid traps that would have taken others out. You see what others miss, and you feel what others ignore. But you must learn to protect this gift. Not everyone deserves access to your spirit. Not everyone should have a seat at your table. Some people only want to be near your light to steal from it. Some connections look good, but carry poison. And if you ignore what your spirit is telling you, you will pay the price. God gave you discernment, not just to avoid danger, but to recognize destiny. You can sense divine timing. You can feel when God is saying move, wait, or let go. You receive confirmation in ways you can't explain, through dreams, through inner nudges, through sudden clarity. And that's why you've made decisions that others didn't understand, only to find out later they were exactly what needed to happen. The world may call it instinct, but you know it's deeper. It's not coming from your mind. It's coming from the Spirit of God within you. And the closer you walk with Him, the sharper your discernment becomes. You don't need everyone to understand your decisions. You don't need validation for what your spirit already knows. Trust the gift. Listen to that still small voice. Because for the chosen ones, discernment isn't optional. It's survival. God doesn't reveal everything to everyone, but He reveals it to those He has called, those He has set apart, those He has trusted with insight. And if you've been seeing beyond what's obvious, feeling what can't be explained, and navigating life by more than just logic, then you are walking in a gift that proves just how deeply God has His hand on your life. Your discernment is not a burden. It's a blessing. It's your spiritual compass. It's your protection. It's your confirmation. And it's one more sign that you are not just aware, you are awakened. Not just different, you are chosen. Sign C5. You experience both extreme favor and intense attacks. One of the most undeniable marks of someone who is chosen by God is the contrast in their life. You walk in uncommon favor, but you also face uncommon warfare. Blessings seem to follow you, but so do battles. You see doors open that others only dream of, and yet right behind every open door there seems to be a new storm. This tension isn't a sign that you're doing something wrong, it's confirmation that you're doing something right. When you carry divine favor, you also attract resistance, because the favor on your life is not ordinary. God's hand is on you in a way that shifts rooms, changes atmospheres, and breaks generational cycles. That kind of favor gets noticed in the spirit realm. Heaven recognizes it. Hell fears it, and that's why the enemy fights you the way he does. You may have looked at your life and wondered why the battles have been so relentless. Why the warfare starts every time you begin to make progress. Why the moment you feel peace, something tries to steal it. That's not coincidence. That's a spiritual pattern. The enemy doesn't waste energy attacking someone who's not a threat. But when you're chosen, when you're carrying purpose, when your very presence disrupts darkness, warfare becomes part of your journey. Still, what makes you different is how God keeps showing up for you. In moments where you should have been crushed, you rose. In seasons where you lost everything, you somehow survived. People tried to block you, but God made a way. Plans were made against you, but none of them succeeded. You've walked through fire that should have burned you, but instead, it purified you. You've faced giants that should have defeated you, but instead they revealed your strength. This is what favor looks like on a chosen one. It's not a life without struggle. It's a life where God keeps lifting you in spite of the struggle. You are not exempt from attack, but you are covered. The enemy may form weapons, but they will not prosper. People may rise against you, but they will fall. Doors may close, but better ones will open. Because when God marks you, no man can unmark you. And let's be honest, there have been moments when the weight felt too heavy. Moments when you questioned if you could keep going. Moments when you cried in silence, wondering why your path seemed so much harder than everyone else's. But somehow grace met you there. Somehow strength rose up. Somehow you kept moving. The reason is because you were never walking alone. God has been with you through every battle, every breakdown, every dark night. And He's not finished. What you've walked through has only been a glimpse of what He's preparing to bring through you. The attacks came to stop you, but they only made you stronger. The pressure came to crush you, but it refined you instead. When you are chosen, you carry anointing, and anointing attracts warfare. But that same anointing also gives you power to overcome it. That's why you can walk through chaos and still have peace. That's why you can be surrounded by enemies and still feel protected. That's why you can take hit after hit and still keep standing. Your life may not always make sense to those around you. They may see the favor, but not the fight. They may see the platform, but not the process. But you know the battles behind closed doors. You know the tears that no one saw. You know the nights you almost gave up. And yet here you are, still chosen, still called, still standing. Don't be surprised when you're blessed and attacked in the same season. That's the life of the chosen. Don't be discouraged when elevation comes with pressure. That's how God builds strength. Don't be shaken when the enemy comes in like a flood, because the Spirit of the Lord will lift up a standard against him every single time. Your favor is real. So is the fight. But the hand of God on your life is greater than anything that comes against you. What the enemy meant for evil, God is turning for good. Every attack has an expiration date. Every battle has a breakthrough on the other side. So don't let the struggle fool you into forgetting who you are. You're not cursed. You're called. You're not weak. You're chosen. And the attacks you've faced are proof that heaven has placed something powerful within you. You've been trusted with a mantle. You've been assigned for impact. And everything you've survived has only positioned you for what's next. The warfare you're facing is not because you're losing, it's because you're closer to victory than you realize. Chosen ones don't crumble under pressure. They rise through it. And no matter how fierce the battle gets, favor will always find you, because God never abandons his own. Sign 6, you have an unbreakable connection with God. There's a connection between you and God that you can't fully explain. It's not just belief. It's not just going to church or following rules. It's deeper. It's personal. Even in seasons when you felt distant, even in moments when you questioned everything, something in you still reached for him. Something in you knew he was still there. That's because your relationship with God was never built on religion. It was born out of purpose. When you're chosen, God places his hand on your life in a way that never fully lifts. You may wander, but you never get lost. You may fall, but you never stay down. He speaks to you in ways you can't always describe, through dreams, through moments of stillness, through people and words that come right when you need them. His presence lingers even in silence. There have been times when you didn't know what to pray, but your spirit groaned. Times when you opened your mouth and all you could do was weep. But somehow, you felt closer to him in that brokenness than you ever did in strength. That's the mark of someone chosen. Your soul knows its source. You don't need to be perfect to be close to him. You just need to be real. And when others look for answers in the world, you keep finding yourself drawn back to him. You may have tried to silence the voice, but it kept calling. You may have tried to ignore the pull, but it never let up, because God never gave up on you. And deep down, you never gave up on him either. This connection isn't emotional, it's spiritual. It's why you can discern his presence in the middle of chaos. It's why you can hear his whisper above the noise of life. It's why you crave time alone with him more than the approval of people. That's the heart of the chosen. God doesn't just visit you, he dwells in you. Even when you don't have all the answers, you have peace. Even when the road isn't clear, you know you're being led. Because your connection with God is the anchor in every storm, the voice in every valley, the light in every dark place. You may not always feel strong, but you always feel held. That's the grace that surrounds the chosen. It's not that your life has been easy, it's that through everything, you've never let go of him, and he's never let go of you. That unbreakable connection is not common. It's not man-made. It's a sign that you were made for him. You were chosen to walk with him. You were born for divine relationship. And now, you can feel it growing stronger. The more you let go of distractions, the more you feel his nearness. The more you seek him in the quiet, the louder his voice becomes. You're learning to trust without needing all the details. You're learning to rest even when the battle isn't over. You're learning to walk by faith and not by sight. That's the evidence. That's the fruit. You are not just believing in God, you are walking with him, and no matter what comes, nothing can break that connection. Not pain, not loss, not fear, not failure. You've been marked by relationship, and the one who started this good work in you will finish it. Sign 7, your presence shifts the atmosphere. There is something about you that people notice even when you say nothing. You could walk into a room and immediately feel the energy change. Not because you're trying to be seen, but because your spirit carries weight. You don't need to announce who you are. Your presence speaks before you ever open your mouth. That's not charisma. That's the anointing of God resting on your life. People are drawn to you without knowing why. They come to you for advice, for comfort, for wisdom. Strangers feel safe with you. Friends confide in you. There's a light on your life that attracts the weary, the broken, the curious. And at the same time, there are others who are irritated by your very existence. You walk into the same space as them, and something about you exposes what they've been trying to hide. That's what happens when you carry light. Darkness cannot stand in its presence. You've probably noticed it all your life. Some people try to compete with you, challenge you, even dislike you, for no reason at all. But it's not about your personality. It's about your spirit. When you're chosen, you carry authority that makes insecure people uncomfortable. You don't have to raise your voice to be heard. You don't have to push to be noticed. You just have to be who you are, and the spiritual realm takes notice. This is why you must be careful about your surroundings. Not everyone who is drawn to your light has good intentions. Some come to be healed. Others come to steal. You are not just a person. You are a vessel. And what you carry is valuable. That's why your peace must be guarded. That's why your energy must be protected. You can't afford to give your light to places that only want to dim it. Your presence is powerful because it carries the evidence of God. You don't even have to speak the name of Jesus for people to feel something different around you. It's not about being perfect. It's about being surrendered. You've allowed God to shape you, and now your life reflects His glory, even when you're unaware of it. And yes, there will be times when it feels heavy, when you feel like you're carrying more than others, when you feel the weight of other people's pain and burdens. That's because your spirit is tuned to something higher. That's because you were chosen not just to live, but to impact, to shift, to lead. Don't ever downplay what you carry. Don't shrink to make others comfortable. Don't hide your light just because some people can't handle its brightness. You weren't made to blend in. You were made to stand out. And your presence is not just a gift. It's a signal to the world that something holy is walking in the room. You don't need a title. You don't need recognition. God has already called you His own, and everywhere you go, heaven goes with you. When you speak, things change. When you pray, atmospheres shift. When you walk into darkness, light follows. Because you are not ordinary. You are not random. You are chosen. This is the final sign. The weight you carry, the way people respond to you, the way environments shift when you enter. These are not accidents. They are proof. You are a carrier of glory, a bringer of light, a child of the Most High. And the world may not always understand it, but they will never be able to ignore it. Because chosen ones never go unnoticed, not by heaven, not by those around them. Conclusion: the evidence that you are chosen. Now that you've seen the signs, something in your spirit should be stirring. Because deep down, you already knew. You've always known that you were different. You've always felt the pull, the separation, the weight of something greater on your life. You couldn't explain it, but you couldn't deny it either. And now, the confirmation has come. You are not crazy. You are not imagining things. You are not just emotional or overthinking. What you've felt, what you've seen, what you've walked through, it all points to one truth. You are chosen, not just called, but chosen. Set apart, favored, marked by heaven for a divine purpose that this world didn't give and cannot take away. Your spiritual awakening wasn't random. The rejection you faced wasn't without reason. The inner pull toward greatness, the sharpness of your discernment, the battles that came after every blessing, your unshakable connection to God, and the power of your presence. These are the signs. These are the clues. These are the spiritual fingerprints that confirm your identity. The world may have tried to convince you otherwise. People may have tried to make you doubt it. Life may have tried to bury it. But the truth has never left you. and now it's time to accept it. You are not here to live a quiet, unnoticed life. You are not here just to survive. You are here to shine, to speak, to lead, to shift, to awaken others through the light that God has placed within you. You've been through too much to stay silent. You've endured too much to stay hidden. You've grown too much to shrink. This is your season to rise into who you've always been. No more questioning. No more waiting for approval. No more doubting what God has already confirmed. You are chosen, and everything in your life, the highs, the lows, the hidden battles, and the open victories, has been shaping you for this very moment. So walk boldly, live fully, speak clearly, pray deeply, trust completely, because the same God who called you is the one who will sustain you, and the world is about to witness what heaven has already declared. You are chosen for such a time as this.